Welcome to another lesson of the Inspired Teacher. Today I'm going to go over part 4 of Professor Cheng's 4 directions. This came out of a lesson that I've done many years. It's called Roll Back, Half the Mastery of Pushing Hands. When I learned with Master Liang, he'd always say, if you can successfully do roll back, you had all the techniques and the skills from roll back, and you could do receiving energy, which basically uses willow, rooting, and short power. If you could do those two techniques, you had all the real kind of skills of pushing hands. You know, I don't want to talk about chi and magic and all those amazing stories you read about. He felt that rollback and receiving energy were accessible to everybody if you understood them and you worked hard, just like any other martial art or any other sport. So the lesson today is, I'm going to take a few pieces of it. I will put a link to my lesson sheet, but it's going to be a lot more mechanics, a lot more ideas of how to get the rollback to work in your 4 directions, and it's going to apply to a lot of your pushing hands. Today my practice partner is Margo Zi Yan. I will also leave a link to her YouTube page as well. So some of the mechanics we went over in part 1, but I want to go just a little bit deeper. First one we're going to look at in rollback is the vertical arm. So one thing I want to do is, when I'm done with rollback, I want the vertical arm in between myself and my partner or my opponent. If it's not quite in between, the push can still come in. And if it's past it, now they can do shoulder or press or fold in. If I put my vertical arm right in between our noses, I control the center line. Now that's going to lead up to a piece I call the box, which is basically a right angle between your chest or your 2 shoulders and your shoulder and your elbow. So usually people who are too soft, they'll turn and they'll open the box, so this is too wide, and then they kind of panic and then they try to close off the center line, and now they're just doing it with the arm. Sometimes that will get you pushed out. If she makes her body firm, arms firm, as I try to close the box, I actually push myself out of my stance. So once I've got this at a right angle, I want to keep it at a right angle. I want to keep this box when I do the rollback. So when I'm done, the vertical arm is in between us, and I've got the box. The horizontal arm. This vertical arm does a lot of work. The horizontal arm is kind of like the ambush or the trap. Like Master Liang would say, don't worry about them pushing that arm against your body. You know, for pushing, it's really great, because the more it is against my body, the more extended she is. The power's gone. The leg is almost straight, the arms are almost straight, and leverage and gravity are in my favor. So when we do sticky hands, that's totally different. But for pushing hands, I don't mind if you push that horizontal arm right against my body, because I'm still gonna bring up my vertical arm. So there's Tao Te Ching says, profit comes from what's there, and usefulness comes from what's not there. One thing you do is you use the arm to protect you, but you use the space to manipulate them. So I'm thinking on this arm, I have 2 parts, the substantial, which is the arm, and actually the space. So as long as I keep a bubble in there, if she collapses my elbow, it doesn't matter, I still get the bubble. Or if she collapses my wrist, I still get the bubble. And if she tries to do both of them, I'm just going to put the bubble over here. Or if she tries to squeeze that bubble, I'm going to make the bubble go over here, like it's a piece of silly putty. And again, all these mechanics, not any one is going to help is going to cover your full defense. But when you put all these little pieces together, it makes the rollback really work. Now, if you ever hear me say the word secret or secrets, I'm half kidding and I'm half serious. Number one, all the secrets of martial arts are out there. The only true secret is, how do I get this knowledge to become an instinct? There are many people, they know a lot about Tai Chi, but as soon as they touch, they can't do a lot because their knowledge, all the books and videos and everything is this big, but their practice time and experience is that big. So, what are the secrets? Sometimes a secret can just be something I know you don't know, or a secret can be a time saver, or a secret can be a technique that, sometimes the teacher would just hold that until you reached a certain level. So this is one of the big secrets, okay? It's turning the hand palm up and using your thumb or the top part of your hand against their little finger. So as I'm going back, I'm actually going to turn, I'm going to put my thumb against her little finger. And what that'll do is it'll literally direct the push off to the corner. You can see if the hand is perfectly seated there, if she's got like a good seal there, well, what happens is, once I turn my hand palm up, you can see what it does. This is Master Liang would call this 4 ounces deflects 1,000 pounds. It meant a 4-ounce turn in your hand, which bent the little finger and made the 1,000 pounds go away. So as you're doing your roll back, at the end, whether you need it or not, train yourself to do your thumb against the little finger. Like sometimes you can do it with single hand pushing hands. So we're doing the single hand pushing hands. I can train to do my thumb against the little finger. I mean, on one level, you can see. It's a secret, but you all have common sense. You can see. That's just twisting and turning that off. It's really hard. Even the strongest person in the world, usually their little finger's not so strong. And so that's also why when we do, at least in the Professor Cheng, Master Liang lineage, you'll see when we do roll back when we're done, the hand goes from facing you to up. That's to manipulate that little finger. So now you've all got the secret. We went over this before, and I'll go over it again. It's elbow to elbow. That again is with the vertical arm. That's just about controlling the arm. If I'm too close to the wrist, I can get rid of this part, but I'm not controlling the elbow and the shoulder. That can come in and fold and do some technique to me. If I'm on the elbow, that's actually going to help guide, and it'll help protect me. So if she wants to do shoulder, it's really difficult. I got a hand in her face. If she wants to do a push more with the left hand, it's easy to deflect that because it's on the elbow. It's that simple. On the outside of the arm, if you're at the wrist, the elbow and shoulder are loose. If you're on the elbow, you can control the elbow and the shoulder from the middle. So that's the elbow to elbow part. What I'm doing is it's hard to get elbow to elbow or control the elbow with my elbow, but I'm just going to do it with my hand till it comes closer. It's another reason why you want to yield and give way. We're not yielding because we're weak. We're yielding because we're ambushing you. We're setting a trap. And then also we're going to get a lot of advantage. So if I want to get to your elbow, I let this come in. I let everything come in. And then it's really easy to be elbow to elbow with a good position on my side. Now, there's another part, which is shifting and turning. So what I want to avoid doing is going all the way back. I finished my shift, and then start the turn with all those good things I just showed you. If I finish my shift and then start the turn, it's going to be a square angle. It's going to get caught in there. So if I go all the way back, and then she just makes her body firm when I go to turn, it's hard to do. What I want to do is figure out my shift, and at the 2/3 or 3/4 mark, I'm going to start the turn and still have some shift. So even as I did the turn, I did the vertical arm, I did the horizontal arm, I still had a little bit of shift. That will smooth that out. So I need to figure out, I do not want to go all the way back and try to turn. I want to let this in about 2/3 or 4/5, 3/4, and then add the turn to the very end of my shift. One difference is, Master Liang would say, unless you feel power, unless that person immediately starts to give you a push, then he said, no matter where you are in your shift, stop shifting and only turn. So if she's coming in, and then at some point she gives me a good push, and I shift, my shift is going to be part of that push. If I feel the power, no matter where you are in your shift, stop shifting and turn only. So that's the piece of shift and turn. I know I'm giving you a lot, but it's going to be on the little worksheet that I attach, and at some point I'll make a bigger video with a lot more detail. Or if you come to one of my seminars and workshops, it's a couple hours, but it's a lot of detail for rollback. Here's another one that's kind of confusing. I call it open side, close side. The Taiji world calls it twist step and favorable step. So a twist step is simply opposite hand and foot forward. A favorable step is same hand and same foot forward. You can look at all kinds of sports, you can look at all kinds of martial art technique. Everybody's going to have a name for that. In karate, it's called a reverse punch, lunge punch, jab, cross. I mean, there's so many words for it. Basically, when I am opposite hand and foot forward, when I'm doing rollback. So here is opposite hand and foot forward. I also call that the close side. Because if I turn like that, it's kind of difficult. It's very rooted and strong, but it's kind of closing me up. This is what's called gaze left. I can't quite see to the left. I can't quite see my partner, but I can gaze at them. If I do the same hand and foot forward, I call that the open side, because it opens out to my stance. It's very relaxed. That's what they call look right, because I can take a big, huge look to the right. Here I can only gaze left. Here I can look right. There's simple mechanics. You can say twist and favorable step. You can say open and close side. I just say open and close side. Now, when you do roll back, you got to do your feet differently for open and close side. If I'm on the close side, I want to be shoulder width. What happens is when I'm shoulder width, when I turn at the end, I sit on my back leg. If I do the open side and I'm shoulder width, when I go back and I turn, my hips are gonna go out to space. Now I don't mean any insult, but I'm gonna turn my back to you. So when I shift back and I turn, you can see I'm sitting on my back leg. On the open side, when I shift back and I turn, I'm going away from my back leg. So sometime when you're getting pushed and roll back, you might be doing all the upper body mechanics correct, but it's what's happening down there in your stance. So there's a simple solution. Closed side, shoulder width. Open side, less than shoulder width. I'm not going to say in line, but it's not going to be that nice wide stance that you're used to. If I do my feet closer, when I turn, I don't go off my leg. If I'm wide, when I turn, I go off my leg. And then usually what happens, you go off your leg in your stance, and you get a little bit tense, and that's when people can push you very easily. So let's say, for instance, we start, her arm up, I'm like this. For your side, you want to figure out how's your rollback going to end. So for her, it's going to end on the closed side. So she wants to be shoulder width. See? Shoulder width, no problem. She's sitting on her back leg. That has plenty of structure to allow all these good things to happen at the upper body mechanics. Now, if she stays shoulder width, but now she's going to go to the open side, when she goes back, it's really hard to do. It's easy to have the box, to lose that arm, and then also you'll feel that the more you turn, the more you're going away from your root, and then a lot of time you have to add tension. When you're on the closed side, the open side, just make your stance a little more narrow, and then when you go back, you're sitting on your back leg. You can see, I'm just giving her some kind of ox energy there, but you can see it's the simple mechanics. So if you're on the open side, your stance is a little narrower. That means I'm going to be on the closed side. My stance is going to be a little wider. So when I turn, I'm on my back leg, right over my back leg. And on this side, when she turns, she's right over her back leg. Now don't tell anybody, folks, but I'm going to try to trick her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change hands. So when I change hands, she immediately has to change the width of her stance. Because now she's going to be going to the closed side. But now, let's just say, for instance, she didn't know to change her feet. So the narrow's working, and I change hands, and she keeps the narrow. Oh, now that's all. It's all. Now she's got to fight with me a little bit. It's kind of fighting. So while you're here, when we change, now you go to the wide. Now there's no fighting. It's all rooted. Now another way to change is if I step. So she's going to the closed side and she's shoulder width. If I step in and push, it's going to change the sides. She's going to go back narrow. If I step in, now she's got to go back wide. Now this is not something you're going to be able to do right away. Sometimes you just have to stop and you just have to look and you have to ask yourself, is it open? I should be a little narrower. Is it closed? I should be a little bit wider. And this will fix a lot of the problems in the rollback. Mm-hmm. Here's another part for making your rollback better. It's single weighting, double weighting. There's so many definitions and applications of the theory single weighting and double weighting. So for beginners, double weighting is weight on both feet. Single weighting is all or majority of weight on one leg. But there are many levels of single weighting within your body. And then for pushing hands, there are levels of single weighting and double weighting with your opponent. Now for roll back, it's a simple formula. If your weight is on your right leg, the power comes out of your left arm. If your weight is on your right leg, left arm. So if I'm doing roll back like this arm is going to have some energy because it's the opposite of the weighted leg. Here's the confusing part, but I'm going to make it really simple for you. If the weight's on the right leg, you use the left arm. So if it's my horizontal arm, I'm still going to have power in this arm. I don't need any power in this arm. So what happens is, can I use you for just a second? Mm-hmm. Basically, your back muscles on the upper half are like a V, and the lower half are like a V, like a triangle. So if you have weight in your left foot, and you do the action with your right arm, the tension goes through the straight lines of the muscles. And you look at a diagram of a human body back muscles, you'll see it. You'll see a definite triangle like that, and a triangle like that. If you have your weight on your left foot, and you push with your left arm, the energy is going to go like that. It's going to come up into the middle and then try to go there. That's what makes everybody tense. You're trying to get it to make a sharp curve. It gets stuck in your back, and that's when you kind of push or use energy with your upper body. So the basic formula is, if the weight is on your left foot, the action goes into your right arm. It's just a basic idea. So if I'm doing the open side, my weight is on my right leg. My left arm is firm, my right arm is less firm. So here is like a straight line of power, of energy, of structure. It doesn't matter. Single weighted is, for this right leg, single weighted is always going to be my left arm. So now if I do the closed side, I've got energy in my left. This has no energy. It's still going to do all those things. It's still going to be vertical in between the two center lines and not break the box. But it's which one I have power in. I don't want to put power in two arms. That's double weighted on the top half of my body. It's going to make me more solid for her to move me. Whereas here, I've got the hard and the soft. The left is always the hard because it's the opposite of the right. And so, no matter how I change my arms, the single weighted arm will be the same. If I change my feet, the single weighted arm will be the other one. So if my weight's going to be on my left, the energy is going to be in my right. I'm still doing everything I need, but there's no power. I've got energy in this arm. So this is my single weighted arm. And I know you can't feel it, but she can feel it. There's the difference. One arm is definitely substantial, or it's got more structure, energy. The other one is softer. And then that's how I am using single weightedness in my rollback. So one thing Master Leon taught was different options in the rollback portion. Basically rollback is not just this shape. Rollback is an energy. Rollback is a concept, and you can apply it to all kinds of what we would call techniques. So rollback is basically in and away. If you let the push partially in and then you direct it away from your body, that's rollback, whether it has this shape or whatever shape. You're not limited to this. So he would show 5 options depending on where the push was concentrated. So option number 1 is, if my energy is heavy on her elbow, she's going to do rollback. So if it's heavy on the elbow, she does rollback. Heavy on the elbow, does rollback. Option number 2, if it's heavy on the wrist, if I'm trying to pin her, she's going to do withdraw and push. So now I'm really clever. I go, okay, you neutralize the elbow. I got to go the other way. You neutralize the wrist. What if I push them both equally and don't let you go either side? That's where she does upward split and push. So if I go heavy on the elbow, roll back. Heavy on the wrist, withdraw and push. But if I try to pin her, I try to capture her, don't let her turn either way, she can do upward split. And then, really simple. So if you want to get back to the 4 directions, you just do your push after. So now you just push, and now you do press, and we're back again. Heavy on the wrist and elbow, you do split, you just push, okay, and press, okay, go. The next one is up to her forehead. I try to pin her arm against her body. She's just going to use ward off. So once it goes up and over. So I try to push her forearm right up against her head, up and over. If I try to push her forearm down into her stomach, she's going to use brush knee. So here's your 5 options. We'll turn this way. Okay? So heavy on the elbow, roll back. Heavy on the wrist, withdraw and push. Heavy equally, upward split. Heavy towards the forehead, ward off. Heavy towards the abdomen, brush knee. And so what you want to do is just pick one side to do that in the 4 directions, and then just randomly do it. Or you could say, hey, keep doing that elbow one, I'm not feeling it. And then when you can recognize it, go, okay, every once in a while do the wrist one until you feel that. And then you can mix and match, and then later both can do it. And it'll just keep you really aware, and it's still all roll back. It's still in towards the center, but ends up away. So there's 5 options for the push in the 4 directions. So another aspect in learning roll back from Master Liang, he would say we have to research what comes after. And then he would always cite the classics that say to withdraw is to attack, or to withdraw is to adhere. So I'll do that one first. When it says to withdraw is to adhere, withdrawing is your defense and adhere is your controlling, your seizing or your Na. Every technique in Tai Chi has 3 aspects: Hua, Na, Da. Hua is neutralize or defense, Na is seize or control, and Da literally means strike, but it's any kind of attack or issuing energy. So to withdraw is to adhere. So sometimes what Master Liang would say is, after the roll back, you don't want to let you successfully defended yourself from their push. You didn't want to let them do press. So you could go ahead. So yeah, you're doing press. So it's like, wait a minute. After the roll back, I want to stop the press. So withdraw is to adhere is to then use this to now put her off balance. It's different. I'm not only is the energy in and away, so here I've neutralized the push, but now I'm going to adhere to her. So now if you try to do the press, you see it's much difficult. And then of course if she uses a ton of energy to do the press, I just let it go. There's no problem. Or on this side, you'll see it on this side. Here's the withdraw, here's the adhere. So you try to press. Yeah, you had to use a lot of energy. So that's what happens after we roll back, some kind of control. And there's lots of them. There's lots of them besides that pin, but I'll give you that simple one. Another one he would say is to withdraw is to attack. he would say, research after you've done the rollback, what can you do next? So you can do all the basics. So for instance, after rollback, you can do ward off. Sorry.
Skip.
After rollback, you can do ward off. After rollback, you can do press. You're going to get tired of this. After rollback, you can do push. After rollback, you can do shoulder. Just plug in all your Tai Chi techniques. One thing you can do is you can start to look at soliform postures and put one of your soliform postures in. So one of the favorite ones that my classmate, my brother, my teacher, the late Master Paul Gallagher, he loved to do strike tiger after rollback. So after he finished the rollback, he would do strike tiger. So that one comes in really quickly. Go ahead. I'm going to sneak that one in on you.
Okay.
So sometime when we were doing the 4 directions, he would just go like that. So he would do roll back, he'd catch you, and he would do the roundhouse punch of strike tiger. I had one student, she was a 2nd degree black belt in Shotokan. And I said to her, what was your favorite technique in Shotokan? And so she loved to do a back fist, a reverse punch, and a roundhouse kick. And she worked it out with her partner that she would do roll back, back fist, boom, boom. I mean, you could, the sky's the limit. Obviously I'm not hitting my partner, but I can start to research that. What's my favorite technique? And do it after roll back. There's the sky's the limit. You could do throws or tripping or, all kinds of soliform postures. You could do the chin na, you could do the joint lock, and research. When she gets out, I can go to something else. I can figure out a bunch of other ideas. This is why you need a partner to work with. This has nothing to do with competition. You don't want to be doing this full power. You're going to get back fisted and reverse punched. But so research in your 4 directions, especially after roll back. What's your offensive technique? What could you do? If you do the roll back and you just do that tiny little bit of a seize, that's going to give you the opportunity. You're going to be able to know what you want to do. If you're a Bagua person, you can do all kinds of palms, or if you're you're a Shingi person, okay, you can start driving in. The sky's the limit. So up to you. So if you put these 4 parts together on the 4 directions, I give you a lot of information. You just gotta take your time. Gotta invest in the time of practice. Try to work it out. Make it work for you. The one thing you want to do is make it a skill and not a drill. You want to have it be like your instinct. So you take 1 or 2 things, you work on it until you can do it, and do it without thinking. And then try to add to it, and gradually, all these pieces from the 4 directions, and especially rollback, you're going to be able to apply it in freestyle pushing hands. I'm going to do a whole series on how to practice, how to learn, how to do some freestyle pushing hands with footwork and all that. But using these traditional fixed methods, it's a really good way to look at what you're doing, develop some skill, develop some understanding, some instincts. And then it can be really fun. Now, I know there's plenty of people who do Tai Chi that don't care about martial arts. That's fine too. Just do this for sensitivity. Make sure you've got all of it correct. And, a little bit off balance is just as bad as a lot off balance. So if I take you to the ground, that's martial arts. And if I make you stumble a little bit, that's sensitivity. You can do this very peaceful, especially for older folks. A lot of older people are doing Tai Chi. You got to be careful, got to protect yourself. So at whatever level, at whatever focus you're doing Tai Chi for, the 4 directions is a really great practice. If you have any questions, comments, you having trouble making stuff work, or one thing you can do is you and your partner, you can take a video of you two doing four directions and working some of it, and I can give you pretty good corrections or refinements by watching. Of course, I can't do hands-on just yet. Zoom and YouTube still are a little bit behind. But I'd love to be able to reach my hand through there and feel you, you feel me. But until then, you could take a little video, and I could give you some critiques, give you some help. It's not that hard. I guarantee you, I can get you to the next level. I don't know what level you're capable of, but I can get you to the next one. So if you're stuck, if you're in a rut, sometimes you just need the outside person to look at and go, hey, do you know you're doing this? Or hey, do you know you could try that? And it can keep you improving. So until then, practice your four directions, and big thanks and gratitude to Professor Cheng and Master Liang for passing this knowledge. Thank you.